Good morning, friends, and welcome back to another week on Sea Homestead. Except this week it's a little different because they released me. I am out in the wild. I'm in Mackinac City, my lovely parents, for a wonderful vacation, and today we are heading over to the island. So I will see you when I get on to the ferry. But before we get to the island, I wanted to show you guys the Mackinac State Park that was located across the street from our hotel. During the day, this place is absolutely breathtaking, and the videos and photos truly do not do the bridge justice here. Some of you may be saying already that I sound way too excited about the bridge, but honestly, if you have never been to northern Michigan, you just don't get it, bud. Now, back to this lovely lady here. This is the Mackinac Bridge that connects Michigan's upper and lower peninsulas. At 5 miles in length, this is the 5th longest suspension bridge in the world. Before the construction of the bridge, locals and tourists had to take an hour-long ferry ride across the Straits of Mackinac and would sometimes wait over 24 hours in line to get across. And having its 100 millionth crossing on June 25th, 1998, just shy of its 40th birthday, the people were loving it. I went to college up in the UP for a few years and had to take the bridge pretty often when visiting home, and it never got old. And one more stop before we go to the island, I swear. But this is the Mackinac City Fishing and Observation Pier. This pier goes 600 feet out into the Straits State Harbor between the Sheplers and Starline ferry docks, and these are the ferry services to and from Mackinac Island for Mackinac City and also St. Ignace in the UP. Starline's claim to fame is their signature rooster tail that jets out of the back of the boat, which you can see here. You can fish off this pier, and there's a small picnic area with a grill and some tables at the end of the pier as well, and it happened to be National Dog Day while we were up there, and I was in heaven with all of the sweet little puppers running around. I didn't film any of them or like the interactions with their owners because I just couldn't do it. But I have to give a special shout out to this beautiful little golden retriever. His name was Bogey, and I met him outside of the butterfly house. His owner was super nice. Well, both of his owners were like super nice, and Bogey was just a true gentleman, and he was so sweet. So if Bogey and his parents see this, I hope you guys had a great rest of your stay, first of all. But I miss Bogey every single day, and I will forever think about him. So, okay, back to Shepler's Dock to head over to the island as promised. Our ferry in the morning was the Miss Margie, which is an upgraded version of the original ferry constructed by Shepler's Ferry founder, Captain William H. Shepler, which he named after his wife Margaret. The ferry that we caught took a special route to the island that they call Mighty Mac because they take you under and then back around and underneath the bridge to the island. And that is the Icebreaker Mackinac Maritime Museum. The ship was commissioned in December of 1944 and was dubbed the Queen of the Great Lakes because it was the largest icebreaker on the Great Lakes. Turned into a museum after being decommissioned in 2006, the Icebreaker Mackinac is open for public and educational tours and even overnight encampments. I'm not sure what those are, but they sound kind of interesting. Okay, so pulling out of the harbor, the ferry route heads directly under the bridge, loops around the center span, and heads back under and to the island dock. And I couldn't bring myself to cut a lot of this footage out because I think it was truly just a really cool experience. How about you just sit back and relax and enjoy the ride with me?
While we're docking, let's get your tour of the island started. The building located on the bluff with the gray roof, 3 dormers, and flags flying is our Michigan governor's summer residence. To the right of that, you can see a long white wall. This is Fort Mackinac.
Welcome to Mackinac Island, friends. The first thing we wanted to do was take a carriage tour. As I said, there are no cars on Mackinac Island, so the only forms of transportation are walking, biking, or horse/carriage riding. As you can probably imagine, this creates quite the aroma on the island. But once you're kind of away from the main drag downtown, you kind of go nose blind to it, so it doesn't really affect anything. The tour takes you around the island to stops including Arch Rock, Fort Mackinac, Surrey Hills Museum, and the Wings of Mackinac Butterfly Conservatory. And along the way, they give you kind of historical tidbits about the island and some of the buildings along the way. Our carriage horses for this leg of the tour were Maggie and Isaac, who are Belgian draft horses. Now, the Belgian draft horses are larger than some of the other breeds they have on the island, thus they can carry more weight, so they are the ones that tend to haul the larger carriages. First on the tour is Marquette Park, that was named after Father Marquette, who was a French missionary that traveled to many Native American tribes learning their language and cultures. He also founded the towns of Sault Ste. Marie, go Lakers, and St. Ignace. Down the side streets are homes that have been on the island since the 1800s, including this building where in 1822 Alexis St. Martin was accidentally shot in the stomach. His wound never fully healed, leaving an opening to his stomach, and doctors were able to study the digestive system and gain a better understanding of the human digestive system through doing experiments and stuff on him, which was kind of cool. That happened here. The Mackinac House is one of the many hotels on the island, and this is one of the other ones that I got footage of, which is called the Metivier Inn. I probably butchered that, but there's just a lot of boutique bed and breakfasts on the island that you can actually stay in. And this is the post office that's on the island, and it is the only post office in the United States that has never delivered any mail. Residents would simply walk or ride to the post office to pick up their mail, but during the pandemic, they actually used the horse carriages to deliver the mail to the full-time residents of the island. And yes, there are people that live on this island full-time, even through the winter.
So right here, these 2 buildings are our community home and city offices. These were the headquarters of John Jacob Astor, who traded $3 million worth of fur here on the island in the 1800s. That is equivalent to about $180 million worth today. And over here on the right is our courthouse and police station, which was built in 1839 and only has 2 jail cells. And behind the police department, we've got some garage doors, one on either side back here, which house the island's dirtiest secret, motorized vehicles. Oh yeah, we do have vehicles here.
And here is the Grand Hotel. Now, we stayed in Mackinac City and we're on our way back to town for lunch when I filmed this, so I didn't go inside, but it is gorgeous. Another fun fact, the underside of the balconies of the hotel are painted light blue because birds don't build their nests towards the sky. So they're all painted a patented color called Grand Hotel Blue, so that way it keeps the birds from building their nests up in the balconies. The island has lots of lilac bushes, and here is one that is over 150 years old. It was first planted by the French-Canadian fur traders because they missed home, and the lilac has become a part of Mackinac Island's history. I didn't even know that. The first official stop on the tour is the Surrey Hills Museum and Wings of Mackinac Butterfly Conservatory. The museum includes old carriages that are on display, has some gift shops, and a stable for some of the smaller horses. And this out back is the paddock, which was like this cool little shed type building that was made out of windows. Inside there were things to purchase, but it was more like a garage sale, if that makes sense. And I loved it. It was unique, and I don't know what the story is behind it, but yeah, it was just, I don't know, it was just really cool. After getting back on the 3-horse carriage, you're taken through the woods and along many of the trails that are on the island to the next stop, which was Arch Rock. And friends, this was honestly so cool. So cool. So cool to see in person. And this is a walkway that goes about 10 feet over the edge of the cliff, I'd say, but you get this beautiful view. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Look at that. I might have a story time about that stop. Anyway, moving on. The final stop on the tour was Fort Mackinac, but my phone was very close to dying, and I wanted to make sure that I could still film some of the Grand Hotel and the Butterfly House, so I skipped filming that from this angle, but I did get a shot earlier that you guys saw. But my favorite part of the entire trip was the Butterfly House. I don't know if I can even accurately explain it, but honestly, there was nothing else like this on the island. So I created a little montage for you. So I hope you enjoy. Back in Mackinac City the next morning, coffee in hand, my dad and I walked along the sidewalk that led along the shoreline and stopped at some of the smaller parks. There are these information plaques about the different parks and about the bridge and some of the other things that have happened here in the Straits of Mackinac. Our first activity of the day took us to the Colonial Michilimackinac Visitor Center. Here you can buy souvenirs, books about the era, and little knickknacks and things like that. You can also buy tickets to go into Fort Michilimackinac, which is an open-air museum made up of reconstructed buildings from original blueprints recovered from the area. This is the original site of Fort Michilimackinac, built in 1715 by the French and abandoned in 1783 by the British. This fort was first part of the French-Canadian trading system until the French relinquished the territory to the British in 1671. These first buildings were row houses, which were living quarters for the fur traders and generals of the British military. There are several gardens filled with beautiful crops, and I absolutely filmed each and every single one in there. There's a church inside and fort, soldiers' barracks, and a merchant shop, and a few different homes scattered about the inside of the fort walls. And you could also walk up along the wall, which again yielded some really good views. Up inside the towers at the corners, you could see for miles across the water and had a nice aerial view of the inside of the fort itself. And this here is actually a general's house. And look at his beautiful garden. I told you guys I filmed every single one. Also located inside the fort was a blacksmith shop.
You thirsty?
And basement sections with artifacts that have been excavated from the grounds in and around the fort. Currently excavating part of a row house. Pause to read text if you need to. It has been many years, but they have found some pretty pristine stuff. My dad and I are really into historical sites and museums, and this fort was pretty big, but not as large as the one that's on the island, and we spent about 2.5 hours just walking around and reading everything. And I won't bore you guys too much, but this was just really, really cool, and I definitely think it was worth the price. All right, so we have consumed some lunch at the Dixie Saloon, which was excellent. And now we are going to tour the McAlpin Lighthouse. The McGulpin Point Lighthouse, yes, I did mispronounce it in that last clip, is approximately 2 miles west of the original site of Fort Mackinac in Mackinac City, which is where we just were. The lighthouse has antique furniture and time period items that have been donated over the years displayed, and the rooms are set up with these items so you can kind of see what this lighthouse keeper's living quarters would have looked like. And this lighthouse was constructed to aid the ships that were traveling through the straits at night. Okay, friends. 44 steps to the top. Let's go. Take it with me. Oh yeah, I'm not gonna look at you guys while I'm traversing the steps. There's also a room down the hall from this one that shows a historical movie every 15 minutes for the visitors. I'll let you guys watch the steps as I go up them. We're getting up there. Ooh, don't look down. Don't look down, Sarah. Don't look down. Just keep walking. Okay. We're at the top. Well, this is new for you viewers. I'm actually extremely afraid of heights, but I love to be up in lighthouses for this view right here.
You guys get one shot down the stairs, that's it.
This is the Cheesin Trail that leads from the lighthouse down to the shoreline. Along the trail are informational plaques regarding the history of the lighthouse and McGulpin Point Rock. So let's take a little walk and see what we find. It began to downpour right after that shot, so we headed back up the trail to the car. And this is the last day of our wonderful trip, so I will leave you with this sick sunset shot I got after the rain cleared up later that night. I truly would not trade anything for this trip because it was beyond amazing. And we are officially back home. And I came out to the garden because I wanted to check it before I went back to my apartment. And look what I was just greeted with. We did that. We did that from seed. Look at that. That's one of the zinnias. Ah! Oh my gosh. So now let's go out here. Let's go ahead and look at our pumpkins and stuff. I see some very exciting things. Here, I'll turn you guys around. We have some lovely little helpers. Look at how well all this is doing. Look at him. My gosh. Our butternut squash. Oh, Chanel is very excited that we're all home. She was just crying. Were you just crying, Beebs? I'm chopped liver once my mom gets home. And this, oh my gosh, they are just absolutely taking over. Got a couple, I think these are actually sugar snap peas over here. So we've got a couple of those. And then look at this. Look at this, friends. Yay! What do you think, Beebs? Are you excited? Yes! Yay! Yay! Oh my gosh. Please excuse the fudge and taffy induced breakouts on my face, but thank you, friends, for joining me this week. I know this video was longer than a normal episode and a little bit different in ways, but I just had such a fun trip on this vacation with my parents, and I learned a lot. I saw some really cool things. I got some pretty cool video footage, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. And yeah, so highly recommend a visit up here if you've never been up to northern Michigan. It's a great place to visit. I know you'll have a great time. There's countless things to do. I'm sure you'll find many, many, many things to enjoy. So with all that being said, thank you so much again for watching and for tuning in, if you do, and liking and subscribing and sharing and all those fun things. Yeah, so that's all I have, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.